Welcome back. Today we're looking at a political commentary analyzing Ben Shapiro's recent feud with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson over conspiracy theories surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk.
Let's get right into it.
Okay, so the material has a massive barrier to entry right at the start, and it all comes down to this heavy reliance on inside baseball.
Oh, yeah.
It just assumes this deep pre-existing knowledge that I think is going to alienate a lot of...
It's the curse of knowledge, for sure. The video just starts and you're drowning in proper nouns.
Right.
Within seconds, we're hearing about Charlie's widow, Tyler Robinson, and, these really specific accusations about French intelligence and the Mossad.
It's like walking into a movie 45 minutes late.
Exactly. You have no clue who anyone is or why they're so upset.
I see the issue, but let me just push back a little on that. This is a channel for political commentary. Isn't it fair to assume the audience clicking on a video about Shapiro and Owens are already in that ecosystem?
That is the classic fear, right? If I explain it, I'll bore the experts. But the confusion here isn't just about who the people are, it's the specific tangled web of this conspiracy. Even someone who follows politics might not know about this French intelligence angle.
So the cognitive load is just too high from the jump?
Way too high. The audience is spending their energy solving a puzzle instead of listening to the host's opinion, and that kills engagement.
Okay, so what's the fix? You can't just stop for a 5-minute lecture.
No, that would kill the pacing. The fix is an establish then analyze structure. We're talking about a context box.
Walk me through what that looks like.
It's a sharp, maybe 30-second voiceover, or even a graphic, right at the top. Before you play the Shapiro clip, you just state the baseline facts.
So
You say, for context, following Charlie Kirk's death, conspiracy theories circulated about foreign intelligence, even though evidence pointed to a suspect named Tyler Robinson. Ben Shapiro is addressing those theories here.
that grounds it immediately. But what about the setting? The script mentions Shapiro talking about the reaction in the room.
Right, another piece of missing context. What is the room? It's America Fest.
Which matters because
it's a room full of the exact people he is criticizing. The tension is high because he's telling them to their faces their heroes are lying. Without that, he just sounds like a guy ranting in a studio.
So you have to set the scene. This isn't a podcast. This is the lion's den.
Exactly. Suddenly, the stakes are sky high.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's say we fix that. The audience is hooked. They know the stakes. But now we hit a second problem, which is that the host's commentary just mirrors the clips instead of expanding on them.
The echo chamber effect. It's a total momentum killer. We watch a great clip of Shapiro arguing for truth over friendship. It's a strong point.
And then the host, Ollie, comes back and basically says, wow, good point. Truth is more important than friendship.
Precisely. It's agreement, but it's not analysis. If you're just nodding along with the clip you just played, you're telling the audience you have nothing new to add.
You become a hype man, not a synthesizer.
Right. And it just slows everything down. The narrative isn't moving forward. It's like circling the drain.
I do see why a writer does this, though. You want to show you're on the same side, especially in political content.
It's safe, but it's boring. The suggestion here is to use what we call additive synthesis. If you agree with the point, you have to take it somewhere new.
Okay, so where could the host have gone instead of just nodding?
Well, there was that great hook about Gavin Newsom that just got dropped. The host mentions Newsom speculated this was a strategic move by Shapiro to win over centrists.
That's a much more interesting angle.
So instead of just agreeing with Shapiro's moral argument, the host should pivot to the strategic one.
Something like, Shapiro frames this as a moral stand. But let's look at the political calculus Newsom mentioned. Does this actually help the conservative movement? Or is it tactical suicide?
Yes! Now you have a show. You're crashing two ideas together to create a third. Or look at the unity argument. The host mentions the commenters are all screaming for unity.
And just dismisses them.
Don't dismiss them. Analyze why the big tent strategy fails with conspiracies this wild. Explain that a tent can't hold both reality and, French government assassination plots. That gives the listener a new mental tool.
It changes the host's role from spectator to synthesizer. That's a huge shift. Okay, now I want to move to what I think is the intellectual core of the piece, the discussion on the just asking questions tactic.
The critique here is great, but the application feels weak.
This was so frustrating because the potential was there. Shapiro goes on this tear about just asking questions, what the internet calls jacking off.
He defines it perfectly, using questions as a shield to float a theory without having to defend it.
A fantastic clip.
But the weakness is that the material never explicitly connects how Candace Owens used this exact tactic in this specific conspiracy.
So we get the theory, but not the practice.
Exactly.
The host assumes the audience can see the mechanics, but you have to show your work.
This is the theory to practice bridge. We need to see the receipts.
We need the receipts. After Shapiro defines the tactic, the host has to jump in with a specific question Owens asked. Something like, when Owens implicates French intelligence, she's not showing a document. She's asking, why aren't we looking at the French? That is the exact mechanism Shapiro just described.
And it applies to the counter-evidence too, right? The host mentions Tyler Robinson as the actual suspect.
Yes, but you have to close the loop. The host needs to say, Shapiro's point is that genuine inquiry stops when you get an answer. We have an answer, Tyler Robinson. Therefore, continuing to ask about French intelligence isn't curiosity.
It's a rhetorical weapon.
Nailed it. Now you've turned an abstract lecture into a direct indictment.
That really sharpens the argument. Okay, now I have to talk about something that pulled me out of this completely. We're deep in this analysis of media ethics and conspiracies, and then boom.
Man.
The documentary promo.
Suddenly we're watching a trailer for a documentary called The Great Reversal about the Israel-Palestine conflict.
It was whiplash. It felt like someone just changed the channel in the middle of a sentence.
It really did. The transition was basically, speaking of truth, here's a movie.
It felt like a commercial break.
Which is a huge drop-off risk. The moment the audience smells an unrelated ad, they're gone. And the tragedy is, the documentary is related. The writer just didn't connect the dots.
So the suggestion is a thematic throughline. But how do you connect a U.S. murder conspiracy to a Middle East documentary without it feeling forced?
You frame the documentary as a case study of the very principle you just analyzed. Look at the themes. The whole Shapiro segment is about the reversal of victim and aggressor.
Okay.
And the documentary is literally called The Great Reversal. It's about the reversal of cause and effect. You have to lean into that.
So you rewrite the transition.
You say, we just saw how narratives can dominate facts in the case of Charlie Kirk. This isn't just an American problem. If you want to see this exact mechanism play out on a global scale, you need to watch The Great Reversal.
That is so much smoother. It makes the promo feel educational. Like, if you liked this analysis, here's the masterclass.
It respects the listener. It says, I know you care about how truth gets distorted. Here's more. Not, okay, now buy my stuff.
We have one last point, and it's a term that got dropped in but never really unpacked. Audience capture.
A massive missed opportunity. This term is the psychological skeleton key to the whole story.
To a regular person, audience capture sounds like the speaker captured the audience's attention.
Which is the exact opposite of what it means. It means the influencer has been taken hostage by their own followers. The host has to pause and define it. It takes 10 seconds.
Just spell it out.
Spell it out. Audience capture is when an influencer stops leading and starts following the most radical demands of their followers to maintain engagement.
And why is that definition so critical here?
Because it's about motivation. Without it, Owens and Carlson just look like villains. With it, you see they're in a trap. They're feeding a beast that will eat them if they stop.
It adds a tragic element, like Frankenstein's monster.
Yes! And you can connect it back to the unity point. The host can explain that the call for unity is often just a nice word for audience capture. The tribe demands silence.
So Shapiro's speech wasn't just an argument, it was him breaking out of the capture, cutting the strings.
Now you've turned a buzzword into a psychological diagnosis. The whole critique becomes three-dimensional.
So let's recap the action item. First, the context box. Solve the curse of knowledge right away. Establish the facts, the room, the stakes.
Then fix the commentary with additive synthesis. Don't just echo the clips. Bring a new lens. Talk strategy. Talk solutions.
Third, that theory to practice bridge. When you introduce a concept like just asking questions, pin it directly to an example.
Fourth, the thematic throughline for that promo. Don't pivot. Connect. Make the documentary feel like the next step in the lesson.
And finally, define your term. Audience capture isn't jargon. It's the core motivation. Explaining it raises the stakes of the whole piece.
We want to thank the listener for sending this in. It's a dense topic, but that's where these structural tools really shine. We would love to see a revised draft.
Absolutely. I really want to see how that additive synthesis changes the energy of the host segment. It'll be a game changer.
Until next time, keep refining your work. This has been The Critique.